What's going on, guys? Brian here, and today we're going to talk a little bit more about online arbitrage, and I'm going to actually drop the first lecture of Online Arbitrage Pro, my new premium course that literally walks you through everything from A to Z, sourcing online arbitrage products and making money off of that. Now, you can easily make 5 to 10 grand. It is obviously up to you, and you'll see that in the lecture that I'm about to drop right after this. Now, the reason I'm talking about this today is because I've gotten a lot of messages recently, this past day or two, asking if I can keep the promo code from Black Friday going. Now, first and foremost, I'm not going to keep it at 40%. It's just that simple because I promised everybody that got in early that I would not keep it at 40%. So I am going to drop it. I'm a man of my word. That's just the way it goes. But I will drop it to 30% for maybe, we'll keep it there until Sunday. If the Birds win, if the Eagles beat the Giants, then maybe I'll feel a little bit better and I'll keep it open on Monday. But the window is closing, so if you're looking forward to get it at this special price, get in now while you can, because once it's Sunday or Monday, that's it. There's no more sale prices. We got a lot of people on the course already, and it's only fair to the people that got in then. So I am going to drop the first overall lecture of Online Arbitrage Pro, which will walk you through the entire overview of how I use online arbitrage and really what I think you can actually make. This was filmed in full intention to give just to the course. It's the first of I think 52 current lectures on the course, going through just the overall meat and potatoes of how I use it. And then obviously we don't jump into the actual computer to show you until I think it's 4 or 5 of the lectures. But I am going to drop that so you can kind of get a gist of it and feel for the first lecture of the course. If you do want it at 30% off, use the coupon code, use the coupon code Increase Income. I'll flash that up on the screen right now. The first link in the description will be Online Arbitrage Pro. Head over to the website, grab Online Arbitrage Pro, and put that coupon code in at checkout to get it at 30% off. Like I said, 30% off until Sunday, and then it might close. If the Giants beat the Birds, I'm definitely closing it. But if the Birds win, maybe I'll be a little bit nice and keep it open for Cyber Monday. We'll see. But without further ado, here is the first lecture of Online Arbitrage Pro, guys. I hope you're excited to take this. I'm really, really excited to bring this entire business model to you, to your doorstep, and teach you how to do it. I'm telling you, this is going to change your life. So this very moment, if you take all this information in and you take action on it, it will make a difference. I promise you that. Now, I'm going to touch on a little bit of the business model, why I still do it, how much you can assume that you can make doing this. We'll touch on all that here in the coming lectures, and then we'll hop into the computer and get rolling with it. So, how much can you expect to make? Well, that obviously, depending on all, regardless of what form of arbitrage you're doing, and the way that I teach is obviously phenomenal, it depends on how much you're going to spend initially. When you're looking at arbitrage, you look at getting a return on your investment. So hypothetically, if you're spending $2 on an item and you were getting $10 back, well, obviously you're making that profit margin of $8. Same thing. Sometimes some items you might be buying for $3 and selling for 20, and then obviously you're making that profit margin of 17. So it really depends on a lot of different factors. For you, it depends on what you can spend right here to really get back what you can get back here. So obviously that's common sense, but almost dropped that. A lot of people ask me that question when they're first getting into online arbitrage and the way that I teach it. It's like, how much can I make? Well, that depends on a lot of different things and how much initial capital you have to spend. The great part about this business model is you can spend you can only have $50 and scale that up to a couple hundred really fast. Then you can take that 100 and scale that up to a couple grand, and then continue to reinvest back into your business and more products. And obviously, you'll see a higher result every single 2-week period, because on Amazon you get paid in a 2-week period every 2 weeks. So if obviously you can file for payability, which is every single day. Highly recommend you don't do that because they take a huge cut. So that's what you can assume that you can make. It depends on how much you can spend, obviously. Me specifically, at my high point of doing this, I was probably making about 10K a month every single month. Now, I've since scaled that down. If you're watching this, I'm sure you know who I am. I'm sure you know the type of businesses that I implement. I do a lot of different things online, and so I actually use this as a cash flow type of business for a lot of my other businesses because, and granted that this is a perfect example of why this is great for you, is yes, I spend a lot of my time, probably 90% of my time, focused on my other businesses and building something for me long term. This is not necessarily long term. You can take it and make it long term if you want to and continue doing this. However, I personally look at this for CASHFLOW. So it's a cash flow thing for the rest of my businesses because it provides me literally a couple grand every single month. So I've since scaled it down. I don't do it full time anymore. I don't scale it up to that 10 grand mark, but I'm roughly sitting around 4 grand to about 6-7 grand a month. So I still do it fairly frequently, and it's great because it provides me that cash flow. So I have students in my course making upwards of 10 grand. I have students in my course, I think that the highest point of any one of my students that I've ever remember hearing about was a roughly 20 grand month. So you can take this, and obviously that 20 grand isn't gonna be fully profit, but I think he might have spent like, I think it was like 1,500 to 2 grand initially, which wasn't a big deal for him to get 20 grand back literally a month later. So we're a 2-week period later. So pretty cool stuff. A lot of that's going into it, and I'm gonna teach you everything here, this entire business model and how you can implement it and scale it to that if you really want to. So you can take this and make it your full-time income and do it month to month, or you can take it like I'm about to show you and use it for cash flow to kind of do it on the side, make a couple grand a month and reinvest it into something more long-term, or reinvest it into something that you want to do. Because I personally don't necessarily enjoy doing this. I enjoy the money that I get from it, obviously, but it's not what I really want to do long-term. My long-term stuff is right over here. So like I said, if you have any questions, obviously feel free to reach out to me, send me an email. You can email me through the website, or you can just shoot me an email to Brian, that's Brian with a Y, at bgmediainnovation.com. Make sure that you put the title of this course in the actual headline so I know that you're an online arbitrage student of mine. But like I said, guys, use this for cash flow. So I roughly get, like I said, 4 to 8 grand every single month, 4 to 7 grand roughly. I don't scale it up to 10 grand, and I don't really track it. But what I do with that is every 2 weeks that I get that payout, obviously it's gonna be half of that roughly. So let's say hypothetically, I had a 6 grand month, right, on online arbitrage. Maybe I spent $700 to get that, so we'll actually just call that, we'll call that 5.3 grand profit from this. Now granted, I spend a little bit of time, this is 100% passive. You do have to package some stuff up and ship it back into Amazon, but Amazon's gonna do 90% of the work for you. I promise you that. Like I said, we'll get into all that here. I just wanna get you excited about the business model so that you can take the action. So, like I said, 5.3K for an example month from arbitrage right here. And then what I do with that is I use that to cash flow my other businesses. So what I mean by that is I don't actually, a lot of people will start a business and they'll go into debt to start a business. They'll spend money on ads through their credit card. They'll hop in and buy software on their credit card, and that's just not smart. Or they'll take out a loan to start like a software company or an app. Not smart, very dumb. If you can get a cash flow business going, and this is something I talk about a lot on YouTube, the best way to start if you're looking to get into entrepreneurship and really getting all the way up here, because there's levels to this, is starting a cash flow business, then taking that cash flow and reinvesting it back into other businesses that you're growing on the side. So I use that arbitrage money to pay for my software every single month. I don't go into out of pocket to pay for my software. My arbitrage business funds that for me. I use that to buy my own time, essentially, to create content like this. Now, I don't get paid up front to create this type of content. Obviously, you're purchasing this, and everyone's gonna purchase this, but I don't get paid up front to create this content. So I budget my time to create Udemy courses, to create Skillshare courses, to create YouTube videos, to create content for, platforms like this so that I can ultimately make money. But it costs time to do that. Time is also a currency. So I buy my own time, and actually having a little bit of money right here, it kind of gives me and allocates me that those time windows to do that, because I know I have money to fall back on if I don't, if I'm not actually going out and earning every single month. So that's another thing. Ads. This is a huge one, especially for me lately. If you took this course, I'm sure obviously you know who I am, or you're familiar with my stuff, or any of my products in the past, or what I teach and how I do it. But I'm sure you probably got hit with an ad at some point, whether that was on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, whatever, what have you, Google. You probably got hit with an ad, and that ad money was paid for from arbitrage money. So arbitrage, I'm telling you, it's a phenomenal way to cash flow your other businesses. On top of that, any overhead I have, so obviously software kind of goes in with this, but my website, all those running costs for the apps to run my website, any VAs is also overhead. So like a virtual assistant to answer emails or answer other questions on Udemy, because I have over, I think it's when I'll release this, it'll probably be over 130,000 students. You can imagine all the questions I get on a day-to-day basis. Not just questions, but messages and emails as well. So virtual assistant, obviously that is a little bit overhead and a little bit of outsourcing. And finally, on top of that, investments. So I take some of that other money back, excess obviously that I don't spend, Obviously allocate some for taxes. That's a little bit beyond the scope of this course, but my investments, so anything else that I want to put into. So if I have an extra grand or two, guess what? I'm going to put that into a savings account specifically so that I can invest in real estate. And I'm not talking about like Bitcoin investing, a little bit beyond the scope of this. I don't believe necessarily in that. I think it's a stupid investment for a lot of people, but that's what I basically do. So I use all the money that I make from arbitrage to cash flow my other businesses. You can do the same, or you can simply pocket that 5.3K every single month and then scale it up. Maybe you're pocketing 6K the next month, and it's a really, really great way to start building some wealth initially, so that when you're ready for an opportunity in the future, you can go that route. So I'm telling you, arbitrage is going to change your life. With that being said, we're going to jump into some initial lectures to kind of structure the entire business model for you so you understand it, and then we're going to jump into the computer and get right into it.